What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or GameOverJesse as some of you all may know me, and today we're going to be discussing the top 5, maybe 10 ways to improve the next Zelda game to try to make it one step above Breath of the Wild, if that's even possible. Joining Daniel and I for this conversation is Mandy and Axel.
Hello.
He's pointing at them right now.
Yeah.
Mandy, you have your own YouTube channel. If people wanted to go check that out, where could they go?
My channel is Mandy Lee Plays, and my Twitter is at Mandy Lee Plays, so you could check that out too.
All right, and Axel the Frog. Where could people find you?
I am just Axel the Beast on YouTube, as well as either Axel the Beast or Axel D Wilder on Twitter and like Facebook and things like that.
Awesome. So starting us off this time, let's go with you, Axel.
Well, I was dumb because I already kind of gave my answer earlier on our recording on the podcast, but
you
to reiterate, I guess.
Are with your peers.
Okay. Basically, I feel like if we're improving a game after Breath of the Wild, the main thing I want to see is like, so Breath of the Wild was a brilliant game. It was a really open game, but it sort of like was open to the point where it, like, I think detracted from some of the like the interesting exploration of some of the previous Zelda games. What I think it lacks, and what I'd love to see in the next game, is the openness of Breath of the Wild, but like with a little more structure to the game, so you have to make interesting decisions about where to go. So like instead of I can just go to the Gorons, I don't care, I can go anywhere. There's no meaningful decision there. Instead, like you got to get the bombs, or you got to get the power gauntlets, or something like that. Just that idea of like, how do I navigate forward? What am I going to need to do it? What do I need to stock up on? Like let's say I want to go to the dark lands in the in the Royal Valley or something. I need to go not only get the
was foretold to Simba.
Yeah.
I have to wherever the light touches.
Yeah. I have to not only get the lamp, but I have to make sure I'm really stocked up on lamp oil. Things like that,
I hate lamp oil.
But then, like, the other thing, and this is, I think, the one thing that, like, some of the other Zelda games really did better than Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild is actually almost terrible at, granted it's great in other ways. It's like its biggest shortcoming is there's no, like, level design, and every time I say that, everyone thinks I mean the dungeons. The dungeons are part of that, but what I actually mean is just the areas themselves. Like, so, in A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, even in Skyward Sword, in fact, Skyward Sword has some of the most of this, but that's also because it's so linear. You just travel, and there's like little challenges. You have to navigate this terrain. You have to solve this kind of puzzle. You have to figure out, okay, how do I get over there? There's enemies that might challenge you in a unique way because of the terrain layout. Just all kinds of things like that. The kinds of level design intrigue that you'd see in any linear game, but you can see them in open world games too. And I feel like Breath of the Wild lacks a lot of that because it asks interesting questions of the player that make you have to make interesting decisions as you're going through the game. So like I remember as soon as I got off the Great Plateau, I was in these ruins, and I'm like, okay, what about those ruins? There's nothing to them. I just did the same things I just did in the Great Plateau, What if there were bokoblins that are too powerful for you to fight exploring those ruins? What if you had to climb over the ruins to kind of get over them and get the drop on them? Just things like that, That's what I'd like to see the next Zelda game do. Have Breath of the Wild's openness, but add a little more like the designed areas instead of just open wilderness.
All right. And moving to you, Daniel.
Yeah, well, actually, slight counterpoint to what Axel said. I just remember when I first left the plateau, the first time I was playing Breath of the Wild, I flew off the side, and I landed on Digdodge Bridge there.
Right.
And the first enemy off the plateau was like that dark gray Hinox.
Okay.
Who was way too strong for me with 4 hearts, right? And then I had to like kind of because there was a shrine I wanted to get to, and I wanted to see what else was around there. I had to like really work around, like climbing around this guy, because he killed, like we were talking about earlier, where you see on your replay, like just go and then die and then die, like over and over again. Yeah, so there's a little bit of that. Definitely not as much as other games like Skyward Sword. Twilight Princess, I feel is also lacking that because the whole map is like a loop.
Yeah.
With some areas in it, then there's not really much going on, other than a few like pose and secrets and heart pieces. But I feel like you need to find that happy medium. Like Skyward Sword, I think, is too far in that direction, and so they were like, "Let's fix that," and they took it too far in the other.
Skyward Sword was like a linear platformer in a Zelda game.
Yeah, and which like I before Miss Click hates me, like, I know she's watching. I love Skyward Sword as well for other reasons. Like it's very like both games are very good for different reasons. But yeah, as far as I think fixing like or what would improve the next Zelda game, I think I agree that as great as it is to have a boundless world, there are some, especially like on your first playthrough is awesome. Maybe going through my second playthrough, there's less that's interesting about the world. I'm still finding things that I didn't find the first time around. Mostly Koroks that I'm like, oh, I think I missed this last time I was playing through, but I don't remember because there's like 900 of them. So, yeah, it's oh, Miss Click still loves me. That's good. So, yeah, I think you have to find that medium of like what will be, even if it's just changing the elevations of the terrain to make it limiting, like how much people are gonna hate me for this, but limiting how much you can climb, for example.
Yeah.
Or adding,
or at least gating the climbing behind what an upgrade that you have to get. Maybe you have to get some cleats or something. I don't know.
You know what? An item they didn't have that I really wanted were like climbing gloves.
Yeah.
That make like there is the climbing gear, like there's a bandana and the climbing gear and the pants, but like climbing gloves that make your climbing like way better and maybe make it so that rain doesn't affect your climbing.
Yeah.
That would be wicked, but. Yeah, like with a lot of the old. Okay, you got something here.
we were talking about this on the Phantom Hourglass stream on Zelda Dungeon just a few days ago, actually. What if you made Breath of the Wild basically the same kind of gameplay? You made the climbing a lot worse, as in you really can't get up anything that easily as you can in Breath of the Wild. You know, you can't climb up average cliff faces, but you get the grappling hook later in the game, and it's used not just like it was in the Wind Waker where you could only do it to posts. You can any cliff. You can throw it up to the top.
Right. I still think climbing it then would still be barred, like mitigated by your stamina. I'd still like to see that. I actually really like the stamina. I know a lot of people.
No, I agree. Yeah.
No, but I think having the stamina there and then being able to upgrade it, I think was awesome. But there was something. And now it's gone in my head. It's gone right out of my head. I'm rambling anyway.
I've consumed your point.
You have. No, because you made a really good point. Now I'm thinking about the grappling hook in Phantom Hourglass. Because I really liked that. Oh, I think I mentioned in an earlier episode, I loved how in Phantom Hourglass you could put the grappling hook between two things and just slingshot Link. I'd love to see that in a 3D space where you can slingshot Link and then use the paraglider to just that would be hella fun. But I've said enough. I've rambled. I don't know where my point is anymore. I've gone on too long.
Mandy, what would you like to see in the next Zelda game?
I would like to see Link as a character. Him talking, him having personality, his own motivations, his own goals. And so overall, just more story elements that are not just, Ganon happened, fuck shit up, and then like go more in detail, have Zelda, have, a story.
Yeah, more character development for Link, not just being the silent hero.
Yeah, because when
I like
they
how
talk
you
about
put
it. Yeah, when they talk
Ganon
about it,
happened.
Ganon happened, yeah. Like, Skyward Sword, I think, is the great opposite example.
Yeah.
Link has a lot of character in that game. Skyward Sword and Wind Waker, I feel like, are two games where he has a lot of character, and it doesn't take away from the experience. Like, Link can still be your avatar character, but he can still have a backstory and meaning and motivations of his own.
Yeah, like, Skyward Sword is my favorite Zelda game, so...
Represent! Yeah. Same here.
It's not my favorite, but I really enjoy it. I really do like it a lot.
I would say right now, if I were to have the choice to replay any Zelda game, whether it be original or remade in HD, I would pick Skyward Sword. But that may just be because I've played through Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and every other Zelda game so many times that I default to Skyward Sword because it seems like the most fresh and the most new. But with that said, I think the story of Skyward Sword is better than any of the others.
Yeah, it's one of the best stories. And there's only one thing that hugely bothers me about Skyward Sword. It is such a minor thing,
The
but
pumpkin
to me it is
soup.
like the biggest pet peeve. It's not the pumpkin soup, it's the fact that you need the medallion to actually have full 2 rows of hearts. There's like so you don't actually get that final 4 heart pieces. You need like that medallion that gives you an extra heart. Otherwise, you'll be missing one if you don't have. And it's just like
objective worst flaw in Skyward Sword.
Yeah, no, that honestly, it kills me. I hate it.
It's like Breath of the Wild when it leaves out, like, you can either get this much stamina or this much hearts, and then the DLC comes out and you're like, oh, there's a lot more shrines. I'll be able to fill it up. Nope.
Yeah. No, the same thing actually. If I had to choose, I always go for full 2 rows of hearts because I feel like I've missed something otherwise. I can live without a corner of my stamina wheel, but
it's not always on screen tormenting you.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. The Skyward Sword, the medallion thing, it just like kills me. I'm like, why? Why not just put more heart pieces in the game?
Right.
I would.
Sorry, what?
You go ahead.
No,
I would just add one thing. I think Breath of the Wild, or I think Skyward Sword definitely has one of the best stories. I actually think you can argue that Majora's Mask is pretty equal to it, but only because it tells a very different kind of story. So Skyward Sword is like a plot and events kind of driven story. Majora's Mask is character driven. You don't necessarily care about the main plot as much as say Skyward Sword, but you'll learn about all these people. All these people in the world tie strongly into the theme of the game. So I feel like the plot-driven best Zelda story, which is Skyward Sword, the best character-driven Zelda story, which is Majora's Mask, and I know everyone hates me saying this. I would say Breath of the Wild also goes up there because it has the best world building of any Zelda story.
I agree with that. There's so much in Breath of the Wild that's like hints at the even you see some ruins and it's like these are a hint at like how much this world was thriving before this event happened.
And not even just that, lots of NPCs constantly discuss like what's been going on since the calamity. There's like a huge picture of what the world actually is and how it actually works. There's constant discussion of what their lives are like, which I think is something that is missing in other games. But yeah,
I agree. And that's the thing is with Breath of the Wild, you see that how the Great Calamity happened and the whole world was was greatly affected except for Hateno Village, which is even a point. Like if people are talking, oh, this is the only place that wasn't really affected by this.
Yeah. But even then, you have that huge reveal of the fort that was destroyed by Guardians leading to Hateno, where Link fell.
Yeah, and that world building is huge and amazing, and then people talk about it, and other Zelda games I don't hate these games, guys, but they like Twilight Princess, for example. All this stuff is going on in the world. Ganondorf is running amok. There's this Twilight invasion, and it doesn't seem to affect any of the NPCs. They're just running around like the market, like they don't care. They're not bothered by this, even though it's happening like 100 feet from them. Ocarina of Time, there's a lot of points in Ocarina of Time where it's like, okay, the Gorons are upset, the Zora's Domain is frozen, sure, but then like Hyrule Castle market is destroyed. Yeah. Everyone moved to Kakariko Village, and they're fine. they're just nothing. They're not talking about this horrible thing that happened. Yeah.
Anyway,
what you said is good, Jesse. I think you're gonna fall asleep. You better say something.
No, I was debating in my head. So my original idea was traditional dungeons, but I assumed one of you guys would have said that first. So then I thought
supposed to be included in my level design thing, but yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I started thinking, well, what's a way that I could have traditional dungeons without actually saying it?
Okay. That's
because what I was thinking was like a larger variety of enemies. Like have dark nuts and other stuff in Breath of the Wild instead of, hey, it's a fire Lizalfos. No, it's an electric Lizalfos. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing, just character swapped. So what I was thinking is the way to have the different enemies and the different types of dungeons would be, and like this is a way to just to have like both in one, is just to say more diversity, because that could apply to enemies, weapons, dungeons, everything.
Definitely.
So I would say that, and I would almost, like, I was debating because I was going to go with that, but then I was thinking, well, what really stood out to me was there were no lively cities or towns in Breath of the Wild. Like, you go to, when you think of Majora's Mask, you think of Clocktown,
Bustling town.
because
I see what you're saying.
everyone's doing something. If you think of Skyward Sword, you think of Skyloft. If you think of Twilight Princess, you think of like Ordon Village or Hyrule Castle Town. If you think of all these places, but when you think of Breath of the Wild, there's nothing that really stands out. Like, there's Zora's Domain, but there's not really, as nice as it looks, there's nothing really going on.
Gerudo Town's the best village in Breath of the Wild. It's like, that's the hustling, bustling.
It's the only one I haven't gotten to yet.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good.
Read the diaries. You might find something interesting if you read the diaries. A tidbit hint at something or someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering. I've played this game a couple times. I'm wondering what you're talking about.
It has to do with fairies. Maybe. Fairy lovers. Yeah. So.
What?
No. There's a diary in Gerudo Town. When you read it, one of the pages, a lot of people take it as it hints towards Tingle, because it talks about a fairy, or like a wannabe fairy boy or something like that.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't say like Tingle, it just mentions, I'm not sure, but I think it mentions something about like an annoying adult who is obsessed with fairies or likes fairies or something like that.
I love that.
But Tingle is nowhere in the game. There is,
and that is why Breath of the Wild is the worst Zelda game. I mean, what? Huh?
So like Tingle's nowhere in the game, but then like the book does hint towards Tingle.
That's cool.
Yeah. But anyways, what was I saying? So diversity, but then like I want a lively city. Like, one of the biggest regrets that I always had, or not regrets because it wasn't my fault, it was probably Aonuma, but yes, blame Aonuma. In Breath of the Wild, during some of the cutscenes, it shows you Hyrule Castle Town, like this huge city, tons of buildings and houses and crazy architecture, and then you don't get to explore any of that. Like, Nintendo's spent probably months building and perfecting Hyrule Castle Town and Breath of the Wild, but it's only visually seen in a cutscene where it's kind of on fire. You can't explore that, even though they took the time to build everything. They built all of it. It's there. Someone might be able to load it up in the code and like let you explore it, but it's locked inside the cutscene for now, and you can't explore any of that. Like, they probably didn't build like the insides of the houses or have NPCs or anything, but like, just the thought that Nintendo worked so hard to build this huge town, but there's nothing that we can do with it. It makes me want something in the next Zelda game even more. Like, I don't want a ruined, destroyed Hyrule. I want Hyrule like it is in Ocarina of Time, or the towns from Termina, or even Twilight Princess. Like, Wind Waker had everything isolated, but even in those isolated islands, there was still a lot of stuff that was going on. Like, if you go to Outset Island or wherever, there's still a lot going on in that one island, whereas Breath of the Wild, it's like everyone I don't know, like you see some people wandering around, but they're not really going from one place to another. They're just like randomly appearing and then randomly disappearing if they get like 10 feet away from you.
Well, actually, a lot of them will. They've kind of brought back the time cycle thing a little bit from Majora's Mask, just in the sense is you actually watch them walk to like where they're going at certain times of day. If you stick around, you can actually watch them go to bed and stuff.
That's true. Yeah, like the one that always got me was there's a side quest, the weapon connoisseur. When you find the weapon that the kid wants to see, I would like go back to Hateno Village and like, oh, I'll have to wait because he's sleeping. It's like, and so I just go to my house. I go sleep till noon because if you wake up in the morning, he'll sleep in. He won't wake up at morning time. It'll take him a couple more minutes.
That's right. I have to get that little bastard fire rod.
Yeah, you gotta show him the fire rod, man. Yeah, no, it's a good side quest that you should start early and just return to when you randomly find the item here and there. But
all right. What's everyone's final thing that we can agree on that they should add?
I think we can all agree on the more traditional dungeons.
Yeah. So give us a fire, water, earth, shadow.
Okay, not necessarily those themes though. Because
okay, instead of fire, give us lava. Instead of water, give us rain. Instead
the thing is,
ice, give us
the
snow.
Diversity is my point though, because like with most Zelda games, there's a diversity of themed dungeons, right?
Yeah.
In this, all the dungeons were Sheikah technology themed.
Robot with an element.
Yes, elemental robots. Whereas in Skyward Sword, only one dungeon had the theme of robots. Actually, I guess two: Sandship and the Narrow Mining Facility.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
and then there was the Ancient Cistern had like shadow and water.
Yeah,
so
that makes
cool.
For it. That's two themes.
That's one of the things I actually liked about that dungeon, even though and this is controversial too, I think that's one of the weaker dungeons in that game, but thematically it was a huge powerhouse. Like just gameplay design
Your face
wise,
is
like
a powerhouse.
Thank you.
That's been a while.
Yeah. Axel stopped.
Dropping the ball.
I had to pick it up.
But like say the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time had like so many themes. It was like ghosts, forest, kind of like a fort, kind of like a mansion. I think some of the coolest dungeons in the series are ones that don't just have one theme; they have several going on. They bring them together, create something really unique.
All right. All right, going around really quick. What's one thing you would like to see? Starting with me, Loft Wing. Now you, Axel.
Come back to me.
All right. Mandy. Just anything.
Loft Wing.
2 Loft Wings. How do you get better than adding a Loft Wing? Add 2.
You can Loft Wing ski then. Like 1 foot on each one. I would like to see a really good, not annoying, meaningful companion character.
Tingle. Yeah. He just stays with you the entire game.
I said not annoying.
The entire game. Like instead of Navi just stopping and saying, "Hey, listen," it's Tingle like pecking you on the back, being like, "Hey, do you want me to draw you a picture?"
What if you get a bunch of fairies and you buy them from Tingle?
What?
Ew.
Because he loves fairies, right? So what if like Tingle helps you get different fairies? They each have their own powers and personality.
So like in Phantom Hourglass, the fairies.
Oh yeah.
Quote unquote, yes.
The fairies. They were like the spirits in Phantom Hourglass. They were
multiplayer.
But you could change them. One gave you a fire sword. One gave you the outline hearts. The other gave you the sword beam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
I actually did think of one thing.
Okay.
I would like to see an expansion on like the weapon system, because I thought it was really cool. Breath of the Wild like brought back the Wind Waker's idea of you get different weapons. I really love that.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite thing about Breath of the Wild: don't have to use a hand sword. I can just have like a big double-handed sword the whole game.
Yeah.
That's from what I've done. But I would love to see like a little more work put into like the different like moves you can do with them, like because in the old Zelda games you had the slashes, the horizontal slashes, the vertical slashes, the thrusts. and then you also had the spin attack. Maybe they could make it so you could just do a little more with each of the weapons, and maybe mix and match. Like instead of just having like 2 or 3 categories of weapon, and every weapon in that category has the exact same moves, they could just expand it a little bit.
Yeah, and like ones that are two-handed but like heavier, or like say you've got the woodcutter's axe is probably not that heavy, so it should be a little bit faster than say like like the Goron weapons like the Stone Smasher is probably really heavy. Let's say you can do like with the wood axe, because it is probably lighter, like you said. You can do a quick swing, or you can like hold the button to really wind it up. Because when you use an axe, you can really give it a swing. So just things like that, little touches to make it a little more unique to use every weapon and give you a little more like options on how to fight with them. Yeah,
probably be like that.
I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again.
I would
tingle. Like no, no.
Yes.
I just want the Master Sword to not have to recharge its battery, for one thing. But also like the champion weapons you get. Like we talked about finding them in the dungeons themselves and having them as permanent fixtures that won't break. You know, just like then like sure you have all these different interesting weapons that you have, but then you can find these ones that are really powerful, and those are sort of almost in place of items that you'd find in dungeons. You get like and then they're different styles. You have a one-handed sword and shield, and like both weapons. You have a spear. You've got a heavy two-handed weapon and a bow, right? So I think that would be nice to have, because those weapons are cool, but then I never use them because I don't want to break them, right? Because I'm like, oh, these are one of a kind. You can replace them, but that's boring. I
just put Mifa's trident in my house. It's framed there. I refuse to use it.
No, that's what I do too. Is I put them in my house in Potato Village.
I don't care about the others. I've broken the Goron one already.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just Mifa.
Just Mifa's.
Mifa champion, best
gallery.
champion.
But that's the same thing. The Hylian shield in Skyward Sword, the shields were destructible, and they carried that over to Breath of the Wild with all of the weapons, right?
Yeah.
Sort of merging the idea of Wind Waker's weapons.
If they continue, your boots will be destructible in the next Zelda game.
Please no.
Don't walk too long or your boots will break, and then walking will hurt you.
Like when Link kicks a chest open, it'll like actually take a heart off.
He actually has an animation if you don't have pants on.
It'll hurt him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I would like to see those as a permanent fixture, much like the Master Sword, but maybe without. Even if you had to recharge them, honestly, I don't know.
All right,
I do not. And the Hylian shield was indestructible in Skyward Sword, where every other shield wasn't. Why not that same thing in Breath of the Wild?
No.
I ask.
Gameplay.
Good answer.
Right. Yeah. Gameplay.
For the last one, I'm just going to say multiplayer. If they get it right.
Found about right. It's some tight multiplayer.
I mean, there's Triforce Hero.
Yeah.
Stuff.
All right.
Zelda MMO. Let's do it.
Zelda
Let's have it.
All right.
I'm serious.
Let me just call it Miyamoto. As soon as this is off.
Text him. Just text him.
And then Miyamoto.
Just text Miyamoto now.
He says your pizza will be ready in 20 minutes.
All right. There's pizza too.
Yeah. All right. So this is our final piece. So everyone, so we're not waiting around for people to pick out their questions, go through the YouTube, the Discord, the Twitter questions, and pick out whatever question you may want to answer. Of course, we will all give our answers for the questions, but let's see here.
None of our patrons submit a question this week?
There was something that kind of happened.
Huh? What?
Alright.
What?
Yeah.
I'm confused now.
I was trying to do something new.
Oh, right, with the bit of a reversal there.
Yeah. So, if we can do this and add one of the Patreon supporters in, add people to this call. So, Gus. Wait, which one?
Gustavo.
I assume it's this one. Yeah. Is this him?
Ooh. Blocking your own face. We didn't need Jesse's face in the stream there.
Here, I'll cover up my face.
Are you there, Gus?
I am here.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh, my camera doesn't go in. Can you see me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Wait, no, sorry, I can't.
Nope. I
Yeah,
can't.
I was just gonna smile and nod, but no.
that was a lie. I'm sorry.
I see Taboo, and that's all I see.
Yeah, I see Taboo as well.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Your video, it doesn't need to be on if you don't want it.
there
to
we
be.
go.
Is there?
Oh, there
is
you
this
are.
a lewd video,
Yes.
Gus? Because that's Taboo.
I still see Taboo,
But
but he's
really?
moving now.
Oh.
Alright, so this goes for you as well, Gus. Pick out. Well, I guess you don't have it.
No, I don't have it.
Okay, so let's post this in here. Alright, on the Skype, there should be a document. You can click on it, scroll to the bottom, look through all of the questions, pick out one. That way, whenever we get to you, you can go ahead and answer. Alright, and if everybody's ready, I will go ahead and do the intro.
I'm ready.
Yep.
Alright.